Welcome to the Restaurant Operator Podcast. I'm Mandy Detwiler, editor of Pizza Marketplace and QSRweb, and I'm here today with Bennett Maxwell, founder of edible cookie dough brand Dirty Dough. Bennett, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Mandy. Excited to be here.
Well, first, why don't you tell us about Dirty Dough? What's its origin story, and how did you found the company, and what's your involvement in it now?
Yeah, so I found it on Facebook because I'm the founder. Anyways, kind of a joke that I'll get to in a second. A buddy of mine started it that I went to high school with. He moved to Arizona. We grew up in Utah together. He was the first large gourmet cookie company in Arizona, but it was just out of his apartment. So he's like, I'm looking for an investor. Posted on Facebook. I invested. He opened up a store. And then he quickly wanted to sell the store. And I was like, crap, I'm going to lose all of my investment. Now, I'd never been in franchising or food or any of that. I was running a solar company in San Diego, but I thought I'm going to try my luck. So I bought it in 2021 with the intention to franchise it. Spent about a year coming up with the model, centralizing the production, and then we franchised it. And it was wild and fast growth and stressful. We did just over 450 franchise sales in the first 2 years. And we opened up about just over 100 locations and then 20 food trucks. And then I exited that coming up on a year to Craveworthy Brands, a restaurant portfolio company out of Chicago.
Now, Dirty Dough's growth has been pretty phenomenal, like you just said. Can you walk us through the initial vision for the company and what you felt set it apart in kind of a crowded dessert market?
Yeah. I mean, Crumble was just making waves, right? They were crushing it, breaking records, not just in the dessert space, but like in food and franchising. And I looked at the model and it was great cookies, but you're having like 50 employees to start up before your grand opening because everything is weighed by hand. So I wanted to compete with Crumble in that gourmet cookie space, right? The large multi-flavored rotating flavors. But I wanted to mimic a model that's, I guess, been around for a lot longer, which is Mrs. Fields or Great American Cookie Company. They've both been around for almost 50 years apiece, still several hundred locations open. So it's like, well, what did they do? They centralized the production so you can operate out of 500 square feet with one employee, one oven, and you can get through the 2008 crash, right? Or all of the mini crashes that they've gone through. So it's kind of just marrying those two models. I want to centralize production so we can have a lower overhead, but I want to find specialized machines to make multi-layered cookies, 3-layered cookies, stuffed cookies that we're still competing kind of more in that crumble category. So it's a marrying of those two models, I guess.
Okay. Tell us about the Cookie Wars lawsuits. I know that was kind of a trying time for these brands. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we were getting ready to open up our first franchise in 2022. So it was going to be our first, really our second store, right? We just had one corporate store. We put up some billboards, Dirty Dough coming soon, because we're kind of right across the street from Crumble here in Utah. And then the next month, they sued us and they flooded the freeway with like, we're the number one of everything. We're $1 billion company. And they sued us. And it's like, crap. So never been sued. You get like the gut wrenching feeling, like, especially because you just saw the billboard that says we sell 1 million cookies a day. And the cookie sells for $3.50 on average. And you could do the math, like, crap, this is $1 billion company. But it's like, and then I read through the lawsuit and I very quickly recognized it for just kind of a bogus lawsuit. Like you could sue anybody for anything, right? Like specifically for whimsical cookie designs. Like they invented whimsy, or sprinkle cookies or a Twix cookie, or the fact that our box was rectangle and their box was rectangle. All of those were mentioned in the lawsuit. So it's kind of like, whatever, this is dumb. I'm gonna have to fight it. And then a news station picks it up. And then in franchising, it's like, now I'm going to have to disclose this, or not disclose, but explain the lawsuit to everybody who's already bought a franchise, who wants to buy a franchise. So instead of doing this one-on-one, I'm just going to do it on social media. And it kind of gained steam. Just breaking down the lawsuit, kind of like, hey, this is silly. And then we did some billboards in response to their billboards that said like, our cookies don't crumble with competition, and cookies so good we're being sued. Let your taste buds be the judge, kind of things like that. And that kind of kicked off that's where the Utah the hashtag Utah Cookie Wars came from, was our billboards. And then a bunch of news stations picked that up and it got us on Good Morning America. I was on CNBC kind of telling the story, but really it was just brand awareness, and it put millions of eyes on us. And because of those eyes, we were able to sell a lot of franchises.
I was going to say that you managed to turn the cookie wars into a growth opportunity. What were some of the marketing strategies that you employed during that time?
Yeah, so the billboards did really well. I mean, how many people saw the billboards? I don't know, a few 100,000 people. How many people saw them on social media? Millions, right? Like the screenshot of the billboards did a lot better on social media. Then we did commercials of Big Cookie Co. like in this giant boardroom, and like what Big Cookie Co. was thinking when they decided to sue all these little companies, and and the video company did really well with that, and again, millions of views on that as well. I would say those two, and then me just breaking down the lawsuit. I think there's like 13 points on a LinkedIn. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to raise awareness to like this, what I think is illegal but unethical business practice of just suing anybody for anything. And I'm going to break down every point in the lawsuit and tell you why it's bogus. And that was like a 3-week, campaign. I'd say those three things, again, they were all cookie wars. It wasn't like, hey, we're selling franchise or anything like that, but it was just like, ooh, it's two, a Burger King versus McDonald's fighting. It's like, no, we have one store, guys, but Crumble kind of brought us up to their level. By responding to us and suing us, and a few press releases and things like that.
What advice would you give to another restaurant or hospitality startup that might be facing unexpected legal or PR crises early on?
I would be as open and transparent and as authentic about your opinion on everything. And also, maybe this isn't great advice, but I'm going to give it anyway. This was the first time that I had like a lot of attorneys that were working for me, because I was in the law. Anyways, they know legal. They're not business owners. They don't take business advice, take legal advice from them. And the reason I say that is because no attorney, well, pretty much no attorney is going to tell you to put up billboards and hire professional actors to do commercials, like making fun of a lawsuit. But that was the best business decision I've probably ever made, right? Like that made $10 million in franchise fees, cost a few $100,000. So yeah, like get business advice from business people, get legal advice from legal people, right? But if you're in that scenario, I would just be as open and transparent about everything. I mean, people, I think, respond to that and connect with you the more open you are.
And it was kind of fun.
And it was very fun.
So, beyond the initial buzz, what core values or operational strategies do you believe have been crucial to Dirty Dough's rapid expansion? Now, you said you had 100 locations now?
Yeah. I was a solar guy, right, that had no business getting into cookies. So, and not only that, I lived out of state from the cookie store. So I had to make it very simple. And that's what the entire model was based off, really simplicity. Like if we can still have 50 flavors of cookies. So every week you're getting a new cookie, and I have a 3-layer cookie. So this is like a peanut butter dough wrapped around a chocolate dough with a caramel injection. This doesn't exist anywhere else in the world, right? If I can make that and ship it to you, have smart ovens, they're all programmed. Every cookie cooks for the same time, temperature, and fan speed. You need one employee, 500 square feet, put it in the oven. So I think it was selling the simplicity. I think it really helped as well. Like this was the first company that I like attached a personal mission statement to. And which was all about joy and fulfillment. And then how do I fulfill that? Well, that's where all of the Dirty Dough branding came from. I believe joy and fulfillment's, your mindset or mental health. So you look at Dirty Dough and it says, we care about your feelings on every single window. And you walk in and it says the inside matters most. So I think a lot of that as well, like having a bigger purpose and saying, hey, we're trying to simplify this business to allow more people to become entrepreneurs. Again, a little bit more of a purpose driven, while the simplicity. And then I think the third thing really briefly was just having a good team. I don't think anybody wants to buy a franchise from Bennett Maxwell, but Jill Summer Hayes, who was my CEO the day I franchised, she's been in the game for 40 years, started Maui Wowie Smoothies and Coffee, grew it to 650 before selling, and really good advisors, the former CEO of Jimmy John's as our advisor. So it's kind of building up the team. Hey, don't trust me. I don't know what I'm doing, but I've got really good people around me. And I think those three things kind of all contributed to that success.
Sure. Well, scaling to 100 or more locations so quickly has to have come with its own set of hurdles. What were some of the challenges that you faced in consistency or maintaining quality, especially as you grew so fast?
Yeah, very difficult. I mean, I remember, we went from 7 to 70 stores in a year. So we do 5 stores in a week, and you're just like, how are we doing all of this? Um, the cookie production, centralizing it was probably been the biggest issue. So it's like the number one selling point probably to franchisees is that we're doing it, but I wanted to vertically integrate. So like I got my own warehouse and all the equipment, and then I had started getting trucks, and I was delivering from Utah down to Oceanside, California, then to Florida, then up to Pennsylvania. And we just didn't have enough stores because this is really a volume play. So up until like 60 stores, it was really hard because you're just losing your shorts on shipping. I didn't want to pass those costs to the franchisees because, I was like, this is the model. This is how it will work when we get scale. So I kept the pricing, and then I just raised money from outside investors to kind of subsidize us until we got to scale. But that was hard. I mean, I wouldn't do it again. Franchising is a new business. Food is another business. And then I wanted to do food manufacturing and logistics all at the same time. Not a great decision.
Yeah. Well, how does it feel to have so many stores right now?
Good and bad. I mean, a lot better now. I would say a year ago, when before I sold, it was crap. I have 200 employees and everybody needs me, or it's they're going to die and I'm going to die. And it was just like stress, and I didn't like that. Now looking at it though, it's really cool. Like, oh yeah, it's like I was in Miami last week for a franchise conference, actually for a different company that I also franchise sales for. But Dirty Dough got brought up, and she's like, "Oh, I'm in Chattanooga. I love the Dirty Dough." And I'm like, "That's really cool. I'm in Utah. You live in Tennessee. We're meeting in Miami, and you knew the brand that I created just a few years ago." Which, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I think we've got one here in Louisville. We're in Louisville, Kentucky,
Yeah,
and I think
yeah, we
we've
have
got
one
one
there.
here. Yeah. Yeah. So, what are the key lessons that you've learned about growth and development, specifically in the current landscape of, when you were growing 2022, 23, 24?
Yeah. I mean, I learned that just because you can grow fast doesn't mean you should. It was just like everything's coming in all at once. It's exciting, but you get yourself in. I got myself in this spiral of like, okay, well, there's a ton of people that want to buy franchises, so let's sell 10 franchises or 20 or whatever that number is, um, because we could support that. And then you get the money in, and then you need to immediately start hiring people to start supporting them. And you're like, crap. Well, now I need more money. So I need to sell more franchises, and then you spend that money, and then you're like, now I need it anyways. And you're kind of, again, it's an upward spiral as long as you're managing it correctly. I just think I did it too fast, um, for like what I was personally comfortable with, especially kind of on the first go. So I would say, like, I think everything went well. It was just too fast for kind of my experience. Now I do think that I did the right thing and brought on the right team that executed and has done an amazing job. But yeah, I should have, I guess, recognized how little I knew earlier on.
Well, Dirty Dough has clearly tapped into something that resonates with customers, with consumers. Can you discuss your approach to understanding your target audience and evolving the menu and offerings to kind of meet their demands?
Yeah, I mean, the taste testing is really fun. We typically do them at elementary schools, because the teachers, we're targeting teachers during their break or lunch break. You get 30, most of them are women, right in your age target demographic, and you could do the testing back and forth. I think what set Dirty Dough apart more than having good flavors and the weekly rotating is more of the branding and the messaging of a little bit about what I was getting through, or what I was mentioning before on the inside matters most. Like the cookie is supposed to be a representation of life, right? You can look at the Instagram cookie, the crumble cookie, right? Which is, to me, it's like, that's a perfect representation of Instagram. Like, it looks perfect. It looks pretty. The outside is what's the show. And then the cookie, though, is typically just a plain cookie. I wanted to go the opposite and be like, it's dirty, it's messy, but all the goodness is on the inside. And then each of our, like, if you go buy a box of cookies, it'll say life gets messy and that's okay, or perfectly imperfect on an. So I think incorporating a little bit more of like, hey, this is an experience and a pick me up of like, feel good about yourself. Life's messy, and that's okay. I think that was more unique than just having bacon on a cookie or some crazy flavor.
Now, what's going to be your most popular flavors?
Chocolate chip is always the most popular, which
Okay.
is kind of crazy. It's like, anyways, it's always been a good 20%. So like one in every 5 cookies out of the 50 cookies we sell is typically chocolate chip. And then I think it's cookies and cream. And then we call it the reverse Reese's. So it's the peanut butter chocolate hot fudge. So
Oh,
three
wow.
layers deep, and that's good. Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. So, social media, let's talk about that for a little bit. It's played a big part of your story. What are your thoughts on the current state of social media marketing for restaurants?
Yeah. Social media for not for like for my brand, but social media for the company's brand.
Yeah,
Correct?
for either.
Okay. Well, on the first one on my brand, that's how we sold all the franchises. We've never posted on Dirty Dough, hey, we franchise. But our number one lead source was social media and PR, which was all me. So I think branding for a founder is like personal branding, just posting every day and getting out there is extremely important. And then social media and marketing for the store. Influencers have are so good. Like if you could find, it's not the person with 1 million followers, it's someone that has 5 to 20,000 followers like in their area, and you offer them a free box of 4 cookies and they'll come in and they'll post and they'll do that once a month or once a week. So leveraging social media, and then especially again, if we have a 3-layer cookie, which is very unique, you open it up in front of a camera on an 8-second video and you could get 1 million views because it's food
Looks
porn.
so
So
good. Yeah,
leading
it is
leading
food
into
porn.
that,
Yeah.
I think is super important. But I do think on the marketing, we typically see our best return on investment on third-party delivery apps, Uber Eats and DoorDash, because you can kind of set your limits and you know what your average order value is. So it's like, I don't want to spend more than $7 per customer. My average order value is $28. That means I know my return on investment is going to be 4x, or it won't spend the money, which we like versus Google and Facebook. Anytime somebody scrolls past your advertisement or clicks on it, you're getting charged for that, not just if they order.
Tell me about Craveworthy brands. Now that you've sold to them, that's what you've done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, what were the key factors that led to the acquisition?
Yeah. So about 2 years ago, I was raising capital and I cold knocking on LinkedIn, I guess. I was a door-to-door guy before this. And Greg Majewski was Jimmy John's CEO early on, like 20 something locations to the first 1,000 sold, 300 open, like the foundation of what's become the fastest growing food franchise over the last 3 decades. So I'm hitting him up. We get on a call. He tells me no on the investment. And he was just so freaking upfront and honest. He's like, you're doing great on this, but man, you're going to fall on your face if you do XYZ. And I'm like, this advice is amazing. Greg, can I get you as an advisor? So I gave him a percent equity over a vesting period to have him as an advisor. He was an advisor for just under a year. And we had great advisors, but nobody with that experience. He quickly proved that he was the most experienced advisor. And then he came on as CEO in December of 23. And then they did a full acquisition in September of last year. So I really liked it because I got to know him as an advisor, get to see how he operates the company as a CEO, and then sold to him. And yeah, the amount of experience and knowledge that guy has opening up, 2 or 3,000 restaurants compared to what I had is night and day difference.
Yeah. How do you see Dirty Dough fitting into the larger Craveworthy portfolio?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most exciting things about the sell. So like Big Chicken, we acquired, Craveworthy acquired them. That's Shaquille O'Neal's company. Dirty Dough will be the dessert in Big Chicken, and we're going to be the dessert in all these other different brands. So that's, Craveworthy has 300 plus restaurants open, and there's no reason that Dirty Dough won't be the dessert for probably all of them. So we're developing special cookies for each brand, and that's been fun. And then they're also pushing CPG, the consumer packaged goods, like getting Dirty Dough into the frozen section of a Walmart or a Costco, so you could take and bake, which would be cool for brand awareness. Obviously, it's going to be a different product than what the franchisees sell, so we're not directly competing with them, but more for brand awareness.
For aspiring entrepreneurs in the food beverage industry, what are some of the non negotiable elements that you believe are essential for building a successful and sustainable business?
Cleanliness and customer service, probably, because with food, I could go into like a gym. I don't know why that came to mind, but like maybe I don't have a great experience because it's really busy that day, but I'll probably still go back. If I go and I see a hair in my food, most people won't go back. I mean, me personally, I probably will. I don't care too much, but like, most people are pretty like, if you get sick, I haven't eaten Panda Express in 10 years because I got sick, and you're like, anyways, people react weird. So that front line, like service and interaction when the customer comes in, what are they seeing? What are they smelling? Are they being greeted? I think that's the most important. Probably more than, I mean, obviously the food and the consistency is very important as well. But I would say that's still my number one thing.
Sure. What about looking back on your journey? What are some of the things that you might have done differently? And what a key piece of advice would you give to your younger self,
Yeah,
your
I wouldn't
three
have
couple years ago self?
Yeah, I wouldn't have started like vertically integrating. I would have instead like meaning I didn't need to go get a warehouse and spend $1 million on machines and then logistics and you know I I think that I mean that's still our play, but when we hit 300 stores. So I would have started out with a co-packer and just worked really well with them. Maybe I'd still have to purchase the machines because they're specialized, right? But I didn't have to be stuck with a $40,000 a month lease payment. So I think biting off, little pieces rather than everything at once. And then it's like, hey, now I have that down. Now the co-packer's going, now I'm just going to do food manufacturing and I'm going to do third party logistics. And then when I get there, now I'm going to bring in logistics where I try to bring it all in house right off the bat, but it was a little too much.
So, what about the future? What can we expect from Dirty Dough?
Yeah, I mean, I think the CPG play is really big. There's no frozen cookies. Like if you go to Walmart or Sam's Club or Costco, there's nothing in the frozen section of cookies, especially not pre-portioned or multi-stuffed. So I'm excited for the brand to grow. I mean, we're still opening up stores every few weeks, which is exciting. And then the food trucks as well. I see those running around here and there, which I think that's a really cool add on to our brick and mortar stores. It just a food truck with the cookies and the smell, and you go to the events and it just works really well. And it's been fun.
Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mandy. Thank you.
That'll do it for this episode of the Restaurant Operator Podcast, and we'll catch you next time.